Chapter 18 in your textbook introduces fossil fuels and focuses on coal, its formation, global distribution, extraction methods, uses, and impacts. The storyline for the chapter profiles a mountaintop removal project in West Virginia. I won't be recounting every topic from your textbook here. The textbook does a good job, and you should be sure to read the chapter carefully and also answer the topic learning objectives shown on our course website intro page for this topic. I will be highlighting some, but not all, of the important points from the chapter, and I'll also expand a bit on some of the points that the book makes. First, as always, a definition. Fossil fuels are non-renewable carbon-based resources, namely coal, oil, and natural gas, that were formed over millions of years from the remains of dead organisms. You can see I highlighted that these fuels are non-renewable. We are using them much, much, much faster than they are being created. It takes millions or perhaps tens of millions of years to make coal. The coal that we are using today is from swamps that existed over 200 million years ago. Alrighty, you should know this definition, and importantly, you should be able to go into detail about where and how each of these three fossil fuels formed, how each is extracted and processed, the major uses for each fuel, the pros and cons of each fuel, the environmental and health impacts of each fuel, and the future outlook for each fuel, including reserves and new technologies. This video clip deals primarily with coal, so we'll start with coal. Infographic 18.2 shows where and how coal forms. Notably, coal forms from ancient plant material that got buried in water and muck with limited oxygen present. Essentially, we're talking about tropical swamps. Since there was very little oxygen present in the muck, the plant material did not decompose. Most decomposers need oxygen. Instead, the intense heat and pressure over millions of years altered the plant material into peat, then bituminous coal, and in some cases, then anthracite coal. So pretty much everywhere that there's now major coal deposits used to be a tropical swamp 200 to 300 million years ago. Then through burial and compaction and tectonic processes, the material was transformed into peat, and then lignite, and then bituminous coal, and perhaps, if tectonic conditions were favorable, anthracite coal. Each of these types of coal has a different sulfur content and a different heat content. Notably, most of the coal we have here in the United States is lignite and bituminous coal, rather than the cleaner burning, higher energy anthracite coal. Bummer. Infographic 18.3 shows the world's proven coal reserves. There are a few things to notice. First, coal is not uniformly distributed around the world. Some countries have a lot, and some countries have little to none. Coal was the driver of the Industrial Revolution in the United Kingdom and Europe, and it also was the fuel that fueled rapid industrialization in the 19th and 20th centuries here in the United States. Further, it has been the major fuel for China's current industrialization. Indeed, coal has fueled development like no other fuel, and the uneven distribution of coal has played a role in the uneven distribution of development. Second, at first glance, you may also notice that very few of the major coal reserves are located in areas that are now tropical swamps. Remember, though, the coal we use today formed from plants that existed 200 to 300 million years ago. The geologic process of plate tectonics has shifted the land masses over time. 200 to 300 million years ago, what is now the United States was located over the equator, a tropical swamp paradise. Importantly, a third thing to notice is that the U.S. has the largest coal reserves in the world. We have 28% of the world's proven coal reserves. This has been a blessing for us. And now, quite frankly, it is a curse to us and to the world. Coal produces more air pollution than any other fossil fuel, and it's not even close. Sulfur oxides, mercury, particulates, and increasingly importantly, CO2, carbon dioxide. As the world tries to dramatically and quickly decrease CO2 emissions to try to avoid the most disastrous impacts of climate change, the U.S. is having a really hard time not using coal. We have so much, and historically it has seemed cheap. Though really it is not cheap, not at all. We simply have not bothered to really add up the costs and include them all in the purchase price. Instead, we have allowed much of the environmental costs and health costs of mining and combustion of coal to be externalized. From your textbook, according to a 2011 study by Harvard University, the external costs of coal paid for by the American public are approximately $300 to $500 billion per year. These are costs that aren't included in the price of coal. Would coal still be considered cheap if these costs were included in the purchase price? What do you think? So what do we use coal for anyway? This is a great graphic, and like several of my slides in this clip, it is taken from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The EIA is a great website for researching energy at the state, national, or international level, and I highly encourage you to check it out, www.eia.gov. This diagram highlights the point that each of our energy sources has different uses. They are not all simply interchangeable. For example, look at petroleum. Most of the petroleum we use, 72%, in the United States is used for transportation. Or look at nuclear. All of our nuclear power is used for electricity generation. So nuclear power plants, and building more of them, will certainly not get us off foreign oil. They're used for different uses. Nuclear is used for electricity generation, and petroleum is used for transportation. In fact, you can see that 92% of the transportation sector is powered by oil. Anyway, let's get back to coal. Look at coal on the left-hand side of this diagram. About 91% of the coal we use in the United States is for electricity generation. So if we want to wean ourselves off coal, we need to use less electricity. We can all do that. And we also need to generate electricity using methods other than coal combustion. And we'll see in a minute that that's quite doable as well. Looking at this diagram, we see that in 2015, 37% of the electricity in the United States was generated using coal power. So how do we generate electricity from coal? And what other processes could we use instead? Well, infographic 18.1 shows how electricity is produced from coal. I want you all to be able to explain the process, so I'm going to go through it here. Follow along on the diagram. First, the coal is burned, essentially to boil water. The hot water produces steam, which is piped to a turbine. The moving steam turns the turbine, and the turbine shaft spins inside a generator. And all a generator is a spinning magnet inside coils of copper wire. This creates an electric current, which is simply moving electrons in the wire. These moving electrons, also known as electricity, travel along wires, power lines, to your home. So that's it. We boil water to make steam to turn a turbine to generate electricity. Natural gas power plants work in the same way. We burn gas to boil water to make steam to turn a turbine. Nuclear power plants split atoms to make heat, to boil water, to create steam, to turn a turbine. Hydroelectric power? You guessed it, we simply use water to turn the turbine. Wind power? Yes, we simply use the wind to turn the turbine. So if you can think of a better way to make steam, or even better yet, a better way to turn a turbine, you can make your millions and save the earth too. Interestingly, you might have noticed that your book, using 2013 data, says 39% of U.S. electricity is from coal, whereas a few minutes ago I showed you 2015 Energy Information Administration data, which said 37% of U.S. electricity is made from coal. Indeed, if you go and looked up 2016 data, coal is even a smaller percentage. We're moving in the right direction. Check out the blue line on this graph that I created from the Energy Information Administration. It shows coal consumption in the United States over time. It started to go down considerably in 2008 and then dramatically plummeted around 2014. Part of the reason is we are beginning to understand that coal is artificially cheap, and we are being burdened and really impacted by environmental costs and health costs that have typically been externalized to the public. But also, very importantly, due to new technology for natural gas extraction, fracking, natural gas has simply outcompeted coal. Check out the brown line. As coal consumption has gone down, natural gas consumption has gone up. Anyway, whatever it takes to get us off coal is a good thing. Here's some 2016 data showing coal declining even further, and natural gas picked up most of the difference. But importantly, renewable energy sources picked up a couple percentage points too. Next, let's look at California. In 2015, about 6% of California electricity was generated using coal, considerably less than the rest of the United States. California has had these low numbers for decades. In fact, we have 0 coal-powered power plants in California. We decided quite some time ago that we didn't want the poor air quality that comes with coal. That 6% is due to imported electricity that was generated out of state. So I guess we're fine with using coal power as long as someone else breathes the nasty air. Actually, though, if you live locally, you'll notice the PG&E mix on the left-hand side has 0 coal and 30% renewables, 36% when you add large-scale hydro into the mix. Let's go even more local. Recently, Peninsula Clean Energy became the local electricity provider here on the peninsula. So if you live locally, Peninsula Clean Energy, PCE, is now your provider. You can opt out and keep PG&E if you wish, though PCE rates are lower, so most folks will likely not opt out. So the bottom line is that you now have 4 choices, and they're all good compared to our national average. Pause the video and check it out. The standard PCE plan will be 50% renewables plus 30% large-scale hydroelectric. There's also 2 plans, one from PG&E and one from PCE, where you can be 100% renewables. Helping to create demand for more renewable energy is a good thing. You're part of the solution to making renewable energy more affordable for everyone. Speaking of affordability, I included the rates on the next slide so you can compare the rates as well. Notably, this is all from a mailer I got last week from PG&E and PCE. My family will likely opt into the Eco 100 plan. Our electricity use is pretty low, so we estimate it'll cost us less than $2 a month more than we're currently paying from PG&E. I'm willing to pay that. I encourage you to look into this on your own. Even if you go with the default Eco Plus plan, you're still using quite a bit more renewable energy than the traditional PG&E plan. Additionally, you're saving some money. Check it out.